Right now, the world is watching oil prices surge, tensions rise, and a narrow strip of water suddenly become the center of global anxiety. Across social media, the same confident answer keeps appearing again and again. Why not just send the Navy? Why not escort the tankers? On the surface, it sounds airtight. A modern destroyer is a floating fortress packed with missiles, layered defenses, and radar systems capable of tracking objects hundreds of miles away. Place one of these warships beside a tanker, and it feels like the problem disappears instantly. The logic feels clean, almost comforting. But that confidence is built on a misunderstanding so deep that it completely flips reality. Because a destroyer is designed to protect itself in open water, not to shield a slow-moving, massive, fragile target that cannot react, cannot dodge, and cannot survive a direct hit. The closer you look, the more that simple solution begins to collapse. And the moment you step beyond theory and into real-world conditions, the cracks turn into something far more serious.
This isn't a new problem, and the United States Navy has already tested this exact idea under real combat conditions. During Operation Earnest Will, American warships escorted oil tankers through hostile waters, confident that their presence would deter attacks and guarantee safe passage. The mission seemed straightforward: stay close, stay alert, and get the tankers through. But reality didn't follow the plan. On April 14, 1988, the USS Samuel B. Roberts was doing exactly what it was designed to do, protecting a convoy, when everything changed in an instant. A single naval mine detonated beneath its hull, tearing through steel, flooding critical compartments, and nearly sinking the ship. The protector became the one needing rescue. The illusion of control shattered in seconds. Days later, the response came in the form of Operation Praying Mantis, not by adding more escorts, but by striking the source of the threat directly. The lesson was brutal and clear. Escorts don't eliminate danger, they only accompany it. To understand why escorts fail, you have to understand what they are trying to protect. A modern supertanker is not just a ship, it is a moving mass of enormous scale and vulnerability combined. Carrying millions of barrels of crude oil and weighing hundreds of thousands of tons, it moves slowly, turns slowly, and stops even slower. Every action it takes is delayed by physics. It cannot suddenly change course, it cannot accelerate to escape danger, and it cannot absorb damage like a military vessel. Its structure is built for efficiency, not survival. Thin steel plating, no armor, and no defensive systems. It is, in essence, a massive floating container of flammable material. Escorting it is like guarding a fuel truck that cannot brake, cannot turn, and cannot survive a single precise hit. The warship beside it may be powerful, but it cannot physically intercept every incoming threat, and it cannot transfer its protection onto the tanker. The weakness isn't in the escort, it's in the nature of what is being escorted, and that weakness becomes critical the moment the environment tightens. The moment these ships enter the Strait of Hormuz, everything changes. What looks like open water on a map is, in reality, a confined corridor where space is stripped down to the bare minimum. The actual shipping lane is just a few miles wide, forcing massive vessels into a narrow, predictable path. On both sides, mountains rise sharply from the coastline, creating natural barriers that interfere with even the most advanced radar systems. Radar, despite its sophistication, follows simple physical rules. It travels in straight lines, and anything solid in its path creates a blind zone behind it. In open ocean, this limitation barely matters, but inside a confined strait surrounded by terrain, those blind zones multiply and overlap. Entire sections of space effectively disappear from detection. The destroyer's greatest advantage, its awareness, begins to erode. And as visibility collapses, reaction time shrinks with it. The battlefield is no longer controlled by technology.
It is controlled by geography. Once detection is compromised, the entire defense system begins to race against time it no longer has. A missile launched from a concealed position doesn't need long to reach its target, especially at close range. In some cases, the total time from launch to impact can be less than a minute. But the critical factor isn't how long the missile travels, it's how late it is detected. By the time it appears on radar, precious seconds have already been lost. The system must identify the threat, confirm it, calculate a response, and launch an interceptor, all within a shrinking window. Even under perfect conditions, this process consumes time. Inside a cluttered, confined environment, delays become inevitable. A hesitation of just a few seconds can mean the difference between interception and impact. And when dealing with sea-skimming missiles that appear low and fast, the reaction window can drop to mere seconds. The numbers stop working in the defender's favor. It becomes a race where even flawless execution might still not be enough. While attention is focused on the sky, the most dangerous threat moves quietly beneath the surface. In 2019, tankers in the region were struck not by missiles, but by devices attached directly to their hulls. These were limpet mines, simple, low-cost explosives placed below the waterline. The method is almost invisible. A diver approaches slowly, using equipment that produces no detectable noise or bubbles, and attaches the charge directly to the steel surface. Once in place, the damage is inevitable. Underwater explosions behave differently than those in air. The surrounding water transmits force with extreme efficiency, directing the energy straight into the hull. The result is devastating, even with relatively small amounts of explosive material. The attack bypasses radar, bypasses missile defense, and bypasses every system designed to detect threats above the surface. It turns the battlefield into something far more dangerous, because now the threat isn't approaching from a distance, it's already there.
This is where the imbalance becomes impossible to ignore. A destroyer represents billions of dollars in engineering, technology, and firepower, yet it lacks a reliable way to counter one of the simplest threats on the battlefield. Its sonar systems are designed to detect submarines, large, noisy, mechanical targets moving through deep water. They're not built to identify a single diver drifting silently in a current. There is no dedicated system on board capable of consistently detecting or stopping that kind of approach in open water. This isn't a matter of cost difference, it's a gap in capability. The most advanced warship in the world can be rendered ineffective by something it was never designed to counter. The imbalance isn't just surprising, it's absolute. One side operates with full visibility and control, while the other exploits a blind spot that cannot easily be closed. And once that gap is understood, the entire strategy begins to shift. When protection fails at every level, above the surface, at the surface, and below it, the focus inevitably shifts away from defense. History has already shown the direction this leads. Instead of trying to escort through danger, the strategy becomes eliminating the danger itself. This means targeting launch sites, infrastructure, and any system capable of threatening the flow of oil. It transforms a defensive mission into an offensive one. The logic is harsh but consistent. If the environment cannot be made safe, it must be controlled. And control, in this context, often requires force on a much larger scale. The narrow waterway stops being just a passage for ships and becomes a critical pressure point in global economics. Every barrel of oil moving through it represents value, and every disruption carries consequences far beyond the region. The decision is no longer about ships and escorts. It becomes a calculation involving risk, cost, and the balance of power itself. At the beginning, the question seemed simple. Why not just escort the tankers? But by now, the answer has completely changed.
It is no longer about placing a warship beside a vulnerable vessel and expecting safety to follow. It is about understanding that the environment, the physics, and the nature of the threats make that idea fundamentally flawed. The narrow corridor, the hidden launch points, the limited reaction time, and the invisible dangers below the surface all combine into a problem that cannot be solved with presence alone. What remains is a far more difficult question. Do you accept the risk and continue operating, or do you attempt to remove the threat entirely, knowing the scale of escalation that may follow? The simplicity of the original idea fades, replaced by a reality that is far more complex, far more dangerous, and far less forgiving.